Okay, so from your previous class, what we have learned, basically we create two pages, two screen, which allow for us to implement what we call as a splash screen. So a splash screen usually we use to not to describe, but to provide an initial impression for user whenever they first run our application, and then after we implement a certain timer, let's say 3 second or 5 second timer, the page automatically navigate to the second page here, which basically the application itself. Um, but the book here use a BMI calculator, but you can implement any type of calculator or any type of application, which allow us to implement the. Let me just open back the Ohm calculator here. So what we have from the Ohm calculator, we have our main dot dot. The main dot dot implement the splash screen class, and this class basically allow us to move from one screen to the others. Just import this quickly. So the splash screen implement timer through what we call as an init state method, and the init state method call timer, and here we just set 2 seconds, and once the timer expire, we move to the second page by this navigator. So this navigator basically allow us to navigate and move from our current class or our current page to the calculator page. The calculator page, which is implemented through another class called calculator page dot dot or calculator screen dot dot. You can call it any names, but here I'm not quite sure why I use screen or page. But if maybe I change the name back to screen, but here you might want to change to better reflect your application names. But here since I use page, so it is better for me to just use page. So rename my file. This is just file name. So calculator page, and then make a reference, update everything back so that we can go from this calculator page main dot dot to this calculator page class. But here we don't have much. There's only contain an empty page, which only title through the app bar Ohms calculator, and contain no or just a contain a simple center widget. All right. So if you run the application, sorry again, do check on this. If you or if better, we can just remove Windows and delete the folder here. But here you need to run Pixel 2. In my case, I use Pixel 2, and let the application run first. Let the virtual device run first, and then we can run the application. So here I set to 2 seconds, maybe too fast, so we can set to at least 3 seconds. Should be nice. It wait for 3 seconds before before the application move to the second page. So which is a calculator page. All right, so now we can recompile the application and wait for about a minute for the application to be compiled. All right, so in the meantime, so let's take a look at the um, Ohm's formula. Okay, so which is a V equal IR. V basically equal voltage, I equal current, and R equal resistance. So if you want to get voltage value, so we can just enter voltage, we can enter the current and resistor value. If we want to get resistance, so we need to enter the V value and the I value. So those are basically the formula that we can use, or the triangle formula for getting the ohms value, or the voltage value, or the resistance value. All right, so back to the application. So here we can see that the ohms calculator basically contain nothing, which basically reflect our calculator page dot here. Okay, you can see there's nothing inside here. So now we can start to design our page, our calculator page. So the formula that we have here, which is V equal IR, the input process output, it basically contain at least two inputs. Okay, so if you want to get voltage value, you need to get impedance times resistance, or if you want to get the impedance value, we need to get voltage divided by the resistance. So that's basically the logic here, which means that if you want to have the what we call as a complete Ohm's law, we need to have three inputs. In this case, we need three text field. Okay, so the three text field, we can have it here. I'm going to implement this through center, and then child to the center set to column. And the column basically is not a constant class, so we need to remove that. So inside column here, column basically contain children's, and then here we can add multiple UI. But for this, I'm going to follow the design schemes that I have here. So the upper part here, I'm going to put image, which is the image that we already have from our ohms calculator. And the bottom section here, I'm going to use for the calculator itself. Okay, so up here, down here, which is 30, 70%. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to start with the image for the top section. So the top section here, for now, I'm going to use a simple column, and let's see if we can manage to use column for that. So I'm going to use image up here. Okay. So the image that I'm going to use basically the ohms.png, this image that we have from our asset folder. And I'm going to use the same image, so might as well just take this widgets asset. So the widget asset, I'm going to put up here, and let's see if we manage to show the widgets up there. All right, so now we have our image at the top for the application image. And at the bottom down here, we're going to have our calculator. So if you want to reduce the size, you can rescale that at 40. That one is scaled to 4 times smaller. Or if you want to make it like big 1, 2 times, which is half the screen. So you can go like 3.5 scale, a little bit smaller. So that basically you can set through the scale for the image asset. Okay, so the second part that we need here is you can set as a container, or you can set as a card. Um, that depends. So let me try to put it into a container, okay, into a container widget. So the container widget allow us to set a child, okay, but I just want to check the height first. Set the color, check the color if we can see color, set colors to just to check our container. Colors.red. Okay, but the problem with container is that it will follow its children size head. Okay, it's follow the children head. So that can be a little bit problems for us. Like for example, if we add item to our container, which is a child, we can add another column inside here. Okay, can add another column. Okay, still nothing, as you can see here, because our column child for the container, it contain nothing. So it basically follow the size of its children. So if the children size, at the moment none, so there's no container visible. But if you want to have your container to be resized, okay, so you can use height, you can set height, let's say like 300. So you can start to see our condition any error here, but we didn't have anything just yet. Okay, but our container we already set the size about 500 down there. All right, so 200 pixel should be okay, but it didn't set the color of the container to red. Let me just, I believe the column here is already override the container. So let me just for now remove that again for the container, just to see the head. Okay, so now you can see that this is the container head. So the container head set to 200, you can set it to higher value. But there's also another widget, but if I'm not quite sure if I can use that. Expanded. There's another widget called expanded, which you can just wrap the container with. Wrap with widget. What is a wrap with this widget? There, expanded, which basically will take the rest of the layout. Okay, so now you can see now this container, this expanded widget basically will automatically take the rest of the UI, which is basically available within this column. Okay, so the top portion or the top section here is already for this image asset, but the rest of the columns, okay, which is the second column here, when we use what we call as a expanded widget, it basically allow us to take the whole sections for our UI here. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of widgets available that you can try out. Expanded, flexible widgets. Okay, so those are the type of widgets that you might interested later on to use in your application. But now let's continue. This is just for us to check our container. You can use container and then set the child for the container for a column. And then we can add more element inside here. Actually, you can just straight away remove container instead of that. Remove unnecessary container and then straight away use column inside expanded. I think so. All right, so we just remove our container and set expanded to column. Now we can start use our input text. So we have a text field, the three texts that we wanted to use, 1, 2, and 3. And since this is, we haven't yet defined anything for our text field, so we're going to have text input here. So 1, ignore this error for now. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 input, which basically for the three value that we're going to use here: voltage, impedance, and resistance. Okay, so now we have issues with this. So let's see if the expanded contains something. Nope, we don't have yet. So for columns, we don't have also padding for columns. Okay, there's no padding for columns. So in that case, you can wrap your column with padding. Okay, so padding basically allow us to have some sort of padding to the left, but if you use all, so it means that the all part of or the all edges for this column will basically automatically set to 8 pixel. So we have 8 pixel here, 8 pixel here, top and bottom. Okay, bottom here also 8 pixel. But that depends on your UI later on. All right, so if you want to have a much better control, you can use the from left, top, right, and bottom, but you need to define. So let's say we have 16 pixel left, top pixel set to 8, right pixel set to 16, bottom pixel set to 6. Okay, so you can have better control to your padding. But still, we still have problem with this overflow issue. But usually, if you want to avoid bottom flow issue, you can use or you can wrap your widgets with a single child scroll view widget. To implement single child, but I'm not quite sure expanded can accept single child scroll view. Let me try to implement that wrap with widget called single child scroll view widget. But I'm not sure if this can work for expanded. Let's see. Yeah, no, it doesn't work for expanded. Okay, it doesn't work for expanded. So might as well remove that over there, remove this widget. So let me try to implement on column. Sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we might need to wrap the entire page with this widget. I'm going to wrap again through columns, the single child scroll view, if we can. Yeah, we can. Okay, so which means that column can accept single child scroll view, which allow for you to scroll your value, your text field here. Okay, you can scroll now. But this you might feels that it is quite limited in terms of access. So if you think that you might want to wrap your entire layout, okay, so instead of putting the single child scroll view here, you can just wrap to your entire layout, which is instead of putting here as a center, so wrap my center with a widget and use the single child scroll view here. Okay, so save that, but you can see there's a constraint on that. This is due to the use of expanded. Okay, so this is what I mean by certain widget, they are not compatible to each other. In this case, we are having issues with expanded because expanded allow you to use a certain portion of your UI. However, when you use single child scroll view, you can no longer use expanded unless you set the size for your widget, because now your entire layout now basically limitless. Okay, means that you don't have bottom. Okay, you don't have bottom, your page can be scroll which is indefinite. And for that you might want to remove your expanded widget in this case and rerun your application again. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so you might have problems with certain widgets. They are not compatible to some of widgets available in Flutter. So if you encounter that kind of issues, you can always remove that widget or try to use a different widgets for that. So here now you can see when I implement single child scroll view. So now you can see that the whole page now scrollable. Okay, so you can easily access your layout or your widgets, other widgets basically available at the bottom. Okay, so this basically turn your entire page into scrollable page. All right. Um, Again, depend on how you want to define or design your UI. So if this is the case, so might as well just wrap the entire page with single child scroll view. All right. So now back to this application again. So now we have three inputs text field, and then we need a button at the bottom. So which is we can use elevated button. Okay, you can use elevated button and then create methods on press. But here again, you can see we define everything as a constant. So we need to remove that. And for now, we can just apply to this. And child for text button, usually a text widget. All right, just calculate. Is for label. Right, save. And then we have our calculate button at the bottom. So we want to get three values from up here. Press this button and display our output at the bottom. So to have our output, we can just use, again, just another text, and we can put our result here, okay? Uh, Whatever you want to put here. Or maybe you want to increase the size of the text output, so you can just implement style, text style. This one, we can set this the size of the text, font size set to, let's say, 24 pixel, and font weight. Font weight set to bold. Okay, and the whole output here for now is a constant. So we define everything as constant, and you can see the button. This should be our result when user input value and press calculate. The result of the ohms value is going to be down here. Okay, so that's the simple design you have for now. So you can further modify your UI, like the one that I use here. I use the, let me just go back down here. The decoration, the text type. Okay, so for example, we want to have our keyboard set only to numbers. So we can just set our text field, keyboard type set with numbers. Okay, one, set everything to that, and same, all as numbers, so that your keyboard now only contain numbers, can only show numbers. And then if you want to have further decoration, you can just use decoration down here, which allow you to have a much nicer decoration for each of the text field. So let me just add decoration. It's too much already. This one also not constant, so remove that. Again, the same with the rest. This one keyboard, this one also the same. So just make me one more time. It's just to copy paste the same code, actually put it up there. Also the same, not a constant. And then the third one, this one also not a constant. Remove that. And okay. All right. So up here, this one we set our hint to voltage. And VI is equal impedance. Okay, which is the I value. Oh, this one is a voltage. Okay, which is the V. I and at bottom VIR. Sorry, I is impedance. VIR value is what? The name current. Okay, sorry, I is current, R is resistance. Resistance is dependence. Okay. This one is current, VIR. This one is resistance. Okay. VIR, resistance. Is it VIR? Current is M, right? Current is M. I. See? All right, so something like that. Okay. VIR. And you can see that if you don't like this one, so you can further set your padding. So you can just use a simple size box. Okay, so size box set height to let's say 8 pixel. So this is a constant, and copy paste and put into there. So you can see there's a small separation there. So we have voltage, we have current, and then we have resistance. Okay, so those are basically um, the input that we want from user. So we need to have at least two input to calculate. Let's say if you want to have voltage, you need to input impedance and resistance. If you want to have impedance, you need to input V and R. So those are basically the methods here. Okay, so next we need to bind each of our inputs here with a controller. So there are three controller that we need to build. The three controller that we can define here is a text editing controller. So we can start with voltage controller. can just define here voltage controller. Okay, so equal text editing controller. This one. Okay, that's the first one. So we just need to have three controller, two, three, and this one for current, and the last one for the resistance. Okay, so we have three, and then we can just bind to each. So the first one for voltage, set the controller for voltage. The second one for text field is impedance. Set the controller to resistance current. And then the third one is this one for resistance. Is it? Yeah. Safe. Okay. So now we bind each of these input to their own controller. So we have three controller, and then we can get their value. Okay, we can retrieve the value, we can receive the value. Okay, so we want to receive the value. So when we press the button, we want to get all the value, and then just get the value first. All right, to get the value, we can just define everything inside here, or we can just put it up there. Should be also okay. But let me just print out the value through our debug console at the bottom down here. Okay, so just to retrieve the value, to get the value first. So now we can just get like the first value, voltage. Voltage, basically, we need to define as a double type, because usually voltage we can provide like 3.4 volt, 2.4, 1.3, 1.5 volt. So it means that the data type is a double. So voltage equal, to get the value, we can get from the voltage editing controller dot text. But here we need to convert this to double. So double dot parse, and then we get our first value already. And then the second one, we need to get current. Okay, so current value, ohms value, should they say ohms value? All right, so ohms value can be in, is there any ohms value, point value, so that we can define as double? Not quite sure. Usually I use that 1 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm, but I'm not quite sure if there's any 1.2, 1.3 kilo ohm, something like that. There's a value for that also. 0.1 also got. So it means that we can just use double. Okay, so same double, this one we can use ohm value, right? Equal sims double dot parse, and then we can just use the impedance, the controller value. Oh, this one is a current. Call it current. Just straight away call current, okay, instead of I. Let's call current. This one current. So instead of that dot text, so might as well you can just call current. And finally, because we already have both value as a current, so might as well we can just use, I think the resistance is the ohm. Okay, so we just put a resistance equal the same with this, but instead of current, we need to get resistance. Okay, so the third one, this one. So now we get the value first, and let's see if you can print out the value. Okay, so you can just use print voltage and print current, and finally you can just straight away print resistance. Okay, so that's just to get the value, to see if we manage to get any value at all and print out through our debug console. So if you press anything, we're going to get this error, okay, which is null value error. So this is basically one of the one of the things that you need to manage in Flutter, the null error. Okay, so null error, that is something that you need to make sure able to manage, because whenever we didn't provide any value And here we try to get the value from the editing controller without anything that we put inside. So we might want to check first. Okay, we need to check if the voltage editing controller or the current editing controller or the resistance editing controller, they are null or not. Okay, so if they are null or there's a null value there, so you might want to manage your null value. Okay, you might need to manage null value. So in this case, we can just, for now, we can just straight away go to the value, or you might want to manage your null value error. So, but if I put a value here like 4 point, or let's say just the usual voltage, 1.5 volt, current, we don't have any current, but we have a resistance value like 500 ohm. Okay, so when press button here, oh sorry, because I didn't put any value, it will turn out with this null value error, because we try to convert the null value here. So you should be able to see the value print out. Let me just put another one value here, like 5. Okay, so you should be able to see the value at the bottom down here. There you go, 1.5, 5, and 500. Okay, so because we already put all the value, and then we can just provide with the calculation. Voltage, current, and resistance, V equal IR. So if you want to provide with the value, but here since we provide 3 value, you need to use some kind of a if statement. But if you don't, that if you just want to get just one value only, so you can just remove any of the value here. So let's say you want to get just a resistance value. Okay, just want to get resistance value in this case. So I'm going to disable first the resistance input here, which is down here for now. So I'm going to remove that. Okay, so we don't have our resistance, and this is also the same. We're going to remove that for now. Okay, so we just going to use 2 value, and then we're going to get the resistance value from there. Okay, so we do have V value and the impedance value. All right. So we go back to the calculation. V equal IR. But this one we get the voltage, but we already have the voltage. We want to get the resistance value. So in this case, we need to divide voltage by impedance. Okay, voltage by impedance. Let me just try if the existing calculator that we already have. Ohms calculator. Okay, you can just always refer to what already. We just want to check the input. Okay, so those are the value that we have. We have voltage, we have current in ampere. Okay, sorry, it's in ampere. And if we can just provide the value, so now you can see those are basically the output that we can use. And in this case, if we don't have, we have a voltage like 1.5 voltage, which is from our battery with a small current. We want to see the resistance value that it will calculate. Okay, so the resistance value is 7.5 ohm. Okay, from here. And we can just use the value, if we want to continue with getting the watt, so you can just P equal V and I, so that basically will produce a watt value. But here you just want to calculate a simple resistance value, so we can just provide current value. Okay, current value actually in ampere. Okay, so current value is in ampere. So this one I, so you can just use ampere or just amp. Okay, so this one is voltage, should be okay. This is amp, so you can provide amp value, and then we're going to get the value down here. So which means that we can provide, this is ampere, but just ampere. Okay, so we're going to remove this print and provide with the ohm value. So double ohm equal voltage divided by ampere. Okay, so now we just want to print out the value double ohm. So we want to have this output down bottom here at here. So instead of we define double ohm in this method, we can define this as part of the state class. So double ohm. So for now, the initial value we provide 0.0. But down here, we want to remove redefinition of the variable. And we can just set our result ohm here with the value of ohm. Um, Ohm and is not a constant. Okay, so this is our value that we want to print out, and this one should set as constant. Save. Okay, so we can provide value first. Let's say voltage 240 volt, current M let's say 0 or 0.5, quite small. Okay, or 1 amp also should be okay. 1 amp. Okay, or 2 amps. Okay, when you calculate. Okay, so when we calculate, actually the value is being calculated, but since we didn't provide the set state function, okay, so that we can just refresh our UI. Right, so one more time. Let's start with small value, just battery voltage value 1.5 volt. So let's say the current draw 0.5 ampere, which is half. When we provide the calculation down here, we need to add like ohm, right? So when we press the button calculate, you can see like result 3.0 ohm. Okay, so smaller the value like 0.1 or 0.25, and then press the calculate button, you can get 6 ohm. Okay, so just to confirm, 1.5, 0.25. So if we have our voltage 0.25, provide calculate value 6 ohm. Can see that? The same, 6 ohm. Okay, so those are basically a very simple calculator and provide us with result at the bottom. But if you want to have something like similar to this, so you might need to check first the value if we insert the value of user insert the value or not. And then we decide which formula to use because we need to move the value if you want to calculate either the voltage value or the current value or the resistance value. Okay, so we might need to check if any of the missing value that is not provided by user. So that's basically the value that we want to get. Okay, so those kind of logic that we can use in this simple ohm calculator. All right, so this is basically quite very similar to our BMI calculator. And I already talked about the pixel overflow issue. So one of the method that we can just use is to implement single child scroll view. However, the single child scroll view you need to check first, okay? Because sometimes certain input value or certain widget they're not compatible with the single child scroll view, so you might have problem with your user interface, since they are not compatible. Okay, if they're not compatible, your programming or your codes, the SDK will complain about that through your debug console down here, and you won't be able to run your application at all. All right, so in this case, you can see no problem with me because the overflow issue that we have before, um, we can just implement or we can just wrap throughout the class here, the widget built here through our scaffold or through our body here. Okay, so we wrap everything with single child scroll view. That basically solve our pixel overflow issue, which allow us to access if you have any, like say if I access on this, you can see that I cannot access the button down here, but I can scroll up and I can still access this button. Okay, I can still use whatever value that we have here. Okay, 4.8 ohm. All right, this is the resistance value. So yeah, you can use any type of calculator. You can implement any methods that you want to use. But this is very basic input, process, and output, and it's very similar to whatever that I've shown to you before. Okay, but here you can see BMI calculator, input user Hague, input user wake, and press the calculate button. And when user press the calculate button, you have the ability to get a value and show the value down here through set state. Okay, so yeah, that's a very simple implementation. To implement play audio, right, like here from page number 46, right, so this is basically will require, okay, you can develop the player on your own, you can definitely, but that will take some time for you to build that. And someone already built the library for you, and then you can just use it. Okay, so here we have what we call as an audio player, audio player widgets, which is available from the pubdev. In the example that I provide through BMI calculator is that when I press the calculate button and the value of the BMI is high, I play certain sound. If the value is normal, I play certain sound, and if the value is low, I play certain sound. Okay, so those are basically the logic that I implement through that through the BMI calculator. But here, I just want to play a very simple sound, which when I click on the button, it will sound something, it produce a sound. Um, Here, what you need to do every time you want to add new library to your application. Okay, but you have to be very aware when you add new library to your application. What you're doing actually, you import external classes, external library. Uh, any method library or any library has already been around for a very long time, the size of the library can be quite big. Okay, so you have to aware on that. So when you import that library into your application, it one of the impact is that your application installer is going to be quite big. Okay, because it will import that project again, that class with your application. Okay, with your project. So it will basically increase the size of your installer, the size of your application, because you have an external classes, okay, or external class that you import into your project. Um, but even though you just use a simple functions that are available through the project, through the library, but that still impacted your application size, impacted your application performance. So just be very careful. Okay, when it is easier for you to develop, but you might have problem with the size of the application itself. So this library basically available through the pubdev. So if you click on the link down there, so the current version now is version 4.0.1, which is a very matured library, as you can see there, version 4 already. It's no longer beta version, it's no longer tested. And before that, let me introduce to you to pubdev. This is a community contributed dependencies, okay, where people or developer all around the world, like you and me, uh, contribute to the community. Okay, so you can access the community through pubdev. This is free, you can use it, but certain library you might need to pay, okay, because they have developed that to an extent, a very complex library, very complex classes, which take a lot of their time, you might need to pay. But most of the time should be no problem. You can use it for free or check their permission. All right, so here you can see there's a pubdev for audio players available through this link. And here the way that you read your library, okay, if your library is okay or not, or you want to use the library or not. The first thing that you need to check is if the library is null safety or not. Okay, so which is null safety. Null safety means that it basically can be used for Flutter 3 and above. Okay, 3 and above, there's already implement null safety. So you need to make sure that this null safety, and most of the library nowadays are already null safety. Okay, no longer older version. Um, the second thing is that you need to look is the platform is supported. Okay, so for Audio Player 4.0, the platform is supported. This means that with support for all platforms here. You can see Android, iOS, Linux, Mac, Web, Windows, which is your application. If you use this library, it can run on all these platforms. Certain library, they cannot run on certain platform. Like for example, you can only run on Android and iOS only. Okay, which means that when you develop your application can only run on these two platforms, not others. Okay, but here in this case means that your library can be used for different platform, can be implemented on different platform. So basically safe to be used. And down here is all the README. So the way that you read, usually you can just read all the requirement. What are the things that required for this library? What are they? Um, Installation. Okay, how do you install? So it's very simple to install. Actually, you can give the following command through your terminal. Okay, you just take the command here and then put it into your terminal and then paste and then just press enter. It will do the installation automatically, but make sure that you're connected to the internet. Okay, let me just move this site first. All right, so now you can see the dependencies updated. Basically, your dependencies reflected through the pubspec YAML file. So here now you can see the dependencies automatically added with audio players. Okay, so it automatically add audio players to your dependencies, and when you call or when you install the dependencies into your project, it will automatically install with the current with the latest version 4.0.1. And here you can see that dependency changes and there's no error in your dependencies, which means that it is working. Be aware that certain dependencies, they are not friendly to other dependencies. Okay, so you have to check the version that you use or the library that you use. They might have requirement that you need to read first. Okay, you need to read first and then make sure that it is okay for you to use. Okay, it is okay for you to use. What is it? This one. Yeah. All right, it is okay for you to use. Okay, so make sure that. Next, you need to import into your project. So here you can just follow the tutorial that I have over there. And certain library, you might have issues, okay? There might be an issue, but I'm not quite sure with the latest version for the audio. I might need to update this. Okay, so you need to do a little bit of digging here and there, because certain library, they have certain things that you need to enable first. But for now, I can see maybe the latest library version is working, is okay. So I just follow the tutorial provided or the example provided here. Okay, so I already import the library. So I already have the library in my pubspec YAML file. And then I'm going to import this through my class. So take this part and then put it into where you want to use the library. So like, for example, here I want to use in this calculator page. So I'm going to import the library here. Okay, so now you can see when I import the library, it basically turned into this squiggly line, blue line down there. So this means that the library is available, but not being used. But if it is red somehow, which means that the library is not available. Sometimes the library already installed, you might need to close your Visual Studio Code and open again. Sometimes it happen. Okay, it happened. All right. So here you can see my library is available. Okay, you can see unused import, just unused import. So now I can use the library in my application. So how do you use the library? You can just refer to my book here. So the library basically require an audio. Okay. So if you don't have an audio, you can download the audio first. So let's say you can get an audio from soundbible.com. So make sure again, any asset that you use in your project, make sure that it is free to use, free to distribute, free for your application. Okay, like for example, this one, let me just add plane landing, or let me just electric. Use electric. Search for electric. So try to play. Right, so those are the sound. Too long. That seems to be okay. I think I'm going to use this one. Right. All right. So you can just download that. TV static, short circuit. This one is, yeah, seems okay also. Just nice. Okay. Anything that's quite long. This one is quite long. Yeah, mic wells can be used. But you can see here personal use only. Okay. Yeah. Make sure that you have the correct version. So if I want to download here, usually I can just download as MP3, but I'm not quite sure if MP3 is. Let me just try with the, there are two versions that you can download, either WAV or MP3, but the one that I use here, let me just check. Audios, okay, WAV version. Okay, I'm going to download the WAV version because MP3, sometimes you have problem with the MP3 file. So let me just download the WAV file. Cannot be downloaded securely. Because of the, sometimes they have issue. Copy download link, file this as unsafe. All right, there you go. I already have the file. Okay, so those are the file. Let me check. All right. So those are basically the WAV file that I'm going to use in my application. So to use this file, again, check the size of the file. It's quite small. It's not that big, 77 kilobyte only. So let me just change the name of the file. Shock. Okay. So you can put it into your asset folder. So let me check. This is my asset for image. So let me just open this my into Explorer. This is the asset. So the one is for image, this one for sound. Okay, so I'm going to put it inside here. Okay, I'm going to put it inside there. Download, Control X, go back here. All right, so now I have shop into my folder. And you can see the file reflected in my asset. You can see there's sounds, there's a wave there. Okay, you can play the sound. This is a shock dot wave. And then now I can use the project into my application, but make sure that your pub spec YAML again check for the asset registration. So my asset registration is only for images, so I need to add one more, which is assets slash sounds. Okay, so register the asset first, make sure that everything is working okay, and no problems from the output here. Okay, so register your asset, register your the image into the application, and then now you can use the audio file. All right, so to play the audio file, you need to import this into your project first. You need to define this into your audios, and then I already have this, and then I'm going to define the player object. Okay, I need to define the player object. So to define the player object, you can put into the class, into the state class. I can just put it here. Okay, you can see there's no error there. So I have a player object here, and this is the audio player that we use. Now the audio player is working. There's no squiggly line down there. And then I can just use the player object into my application already. So where I want to use it, when user press the button, perform the calculation, and then I'm going to sound the audio here. So to play the audio there. So to play the audio, I can just use the this await statement here. Okay, so this await statement, put it inside after user press the button at the end here. But since this is await, I think I can just straight away from not using await for this. Straight away play asset source, and this is okay.wave. Mine is shock.wave. So I'm going to use this HOCK shock.wave. All right, so which means that when I calculate, press this press button. Okay, press this press button, do the calculation, and then play the audio. So that's the logic that we want to have here. Not the perfect logic, but that's basically the logic that we're going to use here. All right, so all right, without installation, reinstallation, let's see what's going. If I run the application, okay, I run the application. Without even with hot reload, you just want to see the if it can work. All right, so let me just add, let's see, 12.4 volt, and ampere is 0.3 amp, and do the calculation. All right, so now you get this error. Okay, you will get this error. Reason being is that error here. Okay, so now missing plugin exception. Missing plugin exception, no implementation found. Reason being is that when you import new dependencies or new library into your project, when you first run, that library is not available yet in your application snapshot. So this will happen. Okay, so the only solution is that you stop the application and do the reinstallation again. Rerun the application again, and it will compile and install with the new library that we just added. All right, so let's try this one more time. So let's say the voltage is 12.4 volt, current 0.5 ampere. All right, so now this is the three issues. One of the issues that usually I have with asset. Okay, now you can see that the library is working, but unable to load asset because the asset folder is not properly defined. So here you can see unable to load asset audios shock. Okay, so asset audios shock. So let's see there you go. Okay, I have audios, but the folder here I put sound, right? So it's supposed to be sounds, supposed to be sound, right? Not audios. Okay, save again. That's the issue. Okay, unable to load that. Right, rerun that one more time. All right, there you go. All right, I'm not quite sure if you hear that voice or not, but it's there. Right? Okay. So that's basically how you do the import and play the sound here. Okay, so in conclusion, so what we have here for the calculator application, basically we allow for user to navigate. Okay, so we learn about the navigation, so which basically allow for our splash screen, splash page to move from one page to the calculator page through timer. And then the calculator page here basically implement the rest of the UI for the Ohms calculator, which consists of text field, two text field, one button, which is here. You can use either whatever button that you want. And then the method down here basically allow for user to check for the availability of the data or not through the text editing controller. And display show dialog with the play the audio here, which basically available through the assets folder. Okay, this asset sound. And it basically will display show dialog and shows error. And if both data basically available through the text field, it basically continue with the calculation here and provide with the calculation value output, and then play this shock sound here. Okay, so this basically conclude the Ohms calculator. which is basically to demonstrate a very simple calculation and also navigation with the aided of the library here, which is allow us to use the sound, play the sound through audio player dependencies. All right, so that's basically for the Ohms calculator.